The legendary Dolly Parton is back on our channel with her mesmerizing voice and legendary songwriting abilities. She is a country music icon for all time. She has become a living legend after devoting over 60 years to the arts, cinema, and charity. Her angelic voice and charisma have enchanted audiences, and her optimism and generosity have won over millions. Pain and hardships lurk beneath the glitter of stardom. Nobody could ever fathom. There were low points that felt insurmountable, significant setbacks, and overwhelming demands. What gave this small woman the will to overcome insurmountable odds, become an example to countless others, and ultimately triumph over the world? In this tale of an unstoppable legend, we will explore the extraordinary life and hidden tales of Dolly Parton. Dolly Rebecca Parton's humble beginnings began on January 19, 1946, in a little house on Locust Ridge, Tennessee, tucked away in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. The home had just one room. There was no running water, electricity, or other contemporary luxuries in the hut, and much of Dolly's recollections of her youth revolve around the deprivation and hardship she endured. The youngsters of the Parton family endured the icy winters of the Appalachian Mountains by donning multiple layers of lightweight clothing and blankets. Dolly recalled how, as a family, they would bundle up on a small bed, exchanging blankets and listening to their mother's reassuring tales as they listened to the stars at night. Robert Lee Parton, who was Dolly's dad, was a sharecropper who grew tobacco and did odd jobs for money. Despite his lack of schooling, he was a powerful, diligent man who was illiterate. But Robert was clever and cunning, and he managed to provide for his big family with what little he had. Dolly and her siblings were taught the importance of responsibility and perseverance by him. The selflessness of her father, whom Dolly admired much, was the impetus for her founding the Imagination Library Foundation. A.V. Lee Owens, Dolly's mother, was a devoted music lover and the rock upon which her family rested emotionally. A.V. had 12 children by the time she was 35 years old, and she would often sing hymns and folk songs to calm and reassure them. Whenever the kids were feeling down, they could always be comforted and inspired by A.V.'s soothing voice. At a young age, A.V. ignited Dolly's love of music. Even though they didn't have much in the way of entertainment, Dolly recalled that the music that filled their small home helped them get through the tough times. Dolly learned to pitch in and take charge as the fourth child out of 12. Not only was she a talented singer, but she was more than that. Taking care of her younger siblings was another responsibility she had to shoulder. The mother of Dolly would put the newborn in charge of an older sibling whenever a kid was born, justifying the practice by explaining that the responsibility went beyond simple play. Nighttime feedings and rocking the infant to sleep were part of it. The care of Dolly's brother Larry was placed on her shoulders when she was just 9 years old. Dolly was devastated when Larry died suddenly just days after being born. She would never fully recover from the wound that the loss had inflicted on her. However, it also fortified her character and inspired other touching songs about familial love, sorrow, and perseverance. Even though she had a tough childhood, Dolly had some happy memories as well. With its chilly rivers, untamed pastures, and starry night sky, the Appalachian Mountains were a source of joy for her. There, she grew to love the little things in life, like the way the river ripples and the grass grows. What really ignited Dolly's vivid imagination were the regional folk tales and legends, together with the songs her mom would sing. Dolly got her start in songwriting when she was 7 years old, and she had a gift for combining simple tunes with meaningful lyrics. A year down the road, her uncle Bill Owens saw her promise as a musician and presented her with her first guitar. When Dolly found her voice in music, it was a watershed event in her life. With the small guitar, she started making music inspired by her environment. Stories of poverty that are honest and full of love and hope. Both Dolly's character and her music were greatly affected by her time spent in the Appalachian Mountains. The lyrics and melodies were all based on recollections of a difficult but loving upbringing. She mastered the art of penning riveting narratives into music that captivated audiences for years to come. Coat of Many Colors and similar songs depict more than just a melody. They are vivid depictions of real-life stories in which love ultimately prevails. Beginning of one's professional life. Dolly Parton always imagined a successful career in music, even as a child. She was so determined to find ways to demonstrate her talent that she pursued possibilities nonstop. Dolly Parton made her radio and television debut in East Tennessee in 1955 when she was only 9 years old. She learned to command an audience with her assuredness and authenticity on the little stages she performed at church functions and on the Cass Walker Show. At the tender age of 13, Dolly reached a watershed moment in her blossoming career when she made her Grand Ole Opry debut. Johnny Cash, a legend in the country music industry, introduced Dolly Parton, who wowed the crowd with her powerful vocals and emotional stage presence. It was obvious that a new star was being born because the audience was so captivated that they requested 3 encores. Her aspiration was cemented in that instant. If she put her mind to it, she could become a music business legend. Dolly didn't squander any time after finishing high school in 1964. To make her aspirations come true, she gathered all her belongings and traveled to Nashville. However, there were several challenges to navigating the country music capital. In a male-dominated field, where Dolly and other young, ambitious singers like her regularly fell flat, Dolly encountered formidable obstacles. Those first several days in Nashville were fraught with difficulty and letdowns. Because she couldn't afford regular meals some nights, Dolly would eat nothing but condiments like ketchup and mustard. She mentioned having to come up with ketchup soup on an episode of Dolly Parton's America podcast to prevent becoming hungry. Dolly refused to give up and instead became more focused on demonstrating her value via her abilities and perseverance. Signing with Combine Publishing was the turning point in her career as a songwriter. Several well-known singers recorded Dolly's tunes when she swiftly won over audiences with her excellent songwriting abilities. But being in the background wasn't something she was interested in. Dolly wanted nothing more than to be famous for her singing talents. After quickly recognizing Dolly's enormous potential, Monument Records signed her in 1965. Because of her pretty face and lovely voice, the record company initially thought she would be more successful as a pop singer. After releasing a handful of pop hits that didn't quite hit the mark, Dolly felt she wasn't being authentic. She had always felt at home in country music, her true calling. Dolly finally got Monument Records to sign her so she could sing country. Without delay, she demonstrated that she had chosen the correct route. Upon its 1967 release, her debut country single, Dumb Blonde, swiftly rose to the top 24 on the Billboard country charts. In spite of the irony in the title, Dumb Blonde was Dolly's audacious declaration of her autonomy and abilities, proclaiming that she was anything but the innocent girl that some may dismiss. Thanks to the song's popularity, Dolly was able to reach a new demographic of country music fans. When Monument Records published Hello, I'm Dolly, Dolly's debut album, in 1967, it sparked a musical revolution. Songs like Something Fishy and Dumb Blonde stood out on the CD. This solidified Dolly's position as a potential fresh face in country music. Both her distinctive voice and her genuine, emotionally charged storytelling style were on full display in Hello, I'm Dolly. The meeting with country music superstar Porter Wagoner was a watershed moment in Dolly's career. The charisma and skill of Dolly were enough to enchant Wagoner, and extended an invitation for her to appear on the 1967 Porter Wagoner Show. Their vocal chemistry captivated viewers, and the show swiftly rose to the ranks of television's most beloved series. The audience was hesitant to accept Dolly at first, yelling out the name of the outgoing singer Norma Jean. However, they were captivated by Dolly's elegance and lovely voice in the end. Thanks to Wagoner's encouragement, Dolly was able to play on big stages and appear on television, so increasing her renown across the United States. Dolly Parton demonstrated that she was more than meets the eye by overcoming early adversity and discrimination. Talented and driven, she was an artist. Her early life in Nashville instilled in her the virtues of perseverance and patience, which she would later use to become the beloved living legend that the world knows and loves. A prosperous professional life. In 1974, Dolly Parton emerged from Porter Wagoner's shadow and began a quest to achieve solo stardom. The years that followed were a spectacular burst of success. Dolly was never just a sidekick. She established herself as a formidable solo artist with unparalleled skill and impact the moment she made the bold decision to create her own image. I Will Always Love You, a touching ballad that Dolly composed as a goodbye to Porter Wagoner, is a testament to her incredible musical talent and has stood the test of time. In 1974, the song peaked at #1 on the country charts. In 1982, for the film The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, Dolly re-recorded it, and it reached #1 again. Still, I Will Always Love You expanded beyond country music. Whitney Houston's 1992 cover of The Bodyguard became an international hit and a Billboard chart staple for weeks. Position held for 14 weeks in a row on the Billboard Hot 100. Dolly Parton's place in country music and as a cultural icon with an international influence was solidified by the version's exceptional popularity. Dolly Parton excelled in the music industry during the 70s and 80s, as she unleashed a series of renowned smash singles. The heartbreaking love story lyrics and simple melody of the 1973 hit song Jolene propelled it to the top of the charts. Among the all-time most covered songs, it reached #1 on the country charts. The song displayed Dolly Parton's mesmerizing vocals and storytelling prowess, leaving listeners with a lasting impression of Jolene. Dolly changed her public persona in 1977 when she tried her hand at pop music. You Come Again was a watershed moment in Dolly's career, demonstrating her fearlessness in the face of change and risk. Here You Come Again, the title single, became her first #1 crossover hit. Dolly Parton's Best Female Country Vocal Performance went 3 times on Billboard's Hot 100 and won her a Grammy. Despite continuing to appeal to country music fans, Dolly's meteoric rise to pop stardom was fueled by the album's over 1 million copies sold. She was able to expand her impact and dominate both music markets after this major milestone. Dolly's foray into cinema acting in the 1980s was also a fruitful time for her career. A big role came in her 1980 debut opposite Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin in 9 to 5. The movie bombed at the box office, winning over critics and earning Dolly a Best Actress nod at the Golden Globes. Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 was another huge success. She composed and sang the song, and it topped the country and Billboard Hot 100 charts. The song served as both an upbeat anthem and a rallying cry for women's rights and workplace justice, motivating millions of people and igniting a significant social movement. Dolly Parton's career took off after 9 to 5, and she went on to star in a string of hit films that included Burt Reynolds' 1982 picture The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. The picture cemented Dolly's place in Hollywood history and garnered universal acclaim. Dolly Parton's versatility was on full display in the 1989 classic Steel Magnolias, which featured an all-star cast including Shirley MacLaine, Sally Field, and Julia Roberts. The film managed to captivate moviegoers with its blend of comedic and emotional moments. Dolly Parton was a trailblazer in the film industry in addition to her illustrious career in singing. Dolly received a Golden Globe nod for her 1980 film 9 to 5, in which she co-starred with the late, great Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. The film was a financial success. 9 to 5, the film's title song, was written and sung by her, which catapulted Dolly to stardom in the film and music industries after becoming a global smash and winning 2 Grammys. Acting in landmark films like Steel Magnolias, 1989, and The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, 1982, she continued to mesmerize audiences and prove herself to be a versatile artist capable of thriving in any field she tried. Dolly Parton's 1986 opening of the Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, amusement park Dollywood is one of her finest accomplishments. A popular tourist spot and cultural emblem of the American South, the park pays homage to Dolly's beloved Appalachian history. Dolly Parton's family was one of countless that came from humble beginnings, but Dollywood has lifted them out of poverty and opened doors to opportunity for many more. Attracting more than 3 million people every year, Dollywood is a cultural treasure trove that celebrates and protects Southern arts, music, and cuisine while providing exhilarating entertainment. In keeping with Dolly's devotion to animal welfare and love of nature, the park has the biggest eagle refuge in the U.S. Having said that, there were some hiccups. Concerning matters of safety, Dollywood has encountered legal obstacles. In 2014, a woman who had fallen while getting off a taxi filed a landmark case because of the serious injuries she had sustained. In 2019, there was another complaint involving a woman who asserted that she suffered spinal damage after being tossed from a water ride. She sought compensation of $2 million. Dolly Parton stayed positive and worked to make the park safer for everyone despite these setbacks. She demonstrated perseverance and a commitment to guaranteeing Dollywood's sustained success through her unfaltering dedication and effective leadership. Dolly Parton's optimism and dedication to her work have never wavered, no matter the challenges she has faced. Through her boundless volunteerism as well as her artistic and musical contributions, she has brightened the planet. She has left an enduring cultural legacy that has affected millions of people around the world through her charity work, the Dollywood theme park, and the joy she brought to audiences through her touching films. Throughout her 60-plus year career, Dolly Parton has received a total of 11 Grammy Awards, including the prestigious Lifetime Achievement Award from 51 nominations. She has won innumerable accolades, including induction into both the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Dolly won the nation's highest artistic distinction, the National Medal of Arts, after receiving the Kennedy Center Honors in 2006 for her work. No one can say that Dolly Parton is only a music icon. She has served as a role model for many people. Her career exemplifies the ideal combination of creative ability, business savvy, and empathy. Dolly continues to be a shining light in the music and charity industries, proving that nothing is impossible with her optimistic outlook and dogged determination. Dolly Parton has kept her private life, including her marriage to Carl Thomas Dean, under wraps despite the fact that she is one of the most famous celebrities in the world. Soon after Dolly relocated to Nashville to launch her music career in 1964, the two crossed paths. Dolly and Carl originally met at Wishy Washy, a laundry, when Carl was 21 years old. They fell deeply in love after only a short conversation. Carl loves to make light of the fact that when he saw Dolly in a short skirt, the first thing he noticed were her stunning legs. 2 years later, in 1966, they tied the knot, and their love story has continued for nearly half a century, which is quite unusual in the entertainment industry. The glamour and glamour of show business don't attract Carl Thomas Dean, a shy, reticent man. Carl, in contrast to Dolly's dazzling charm and magnetic stage presence, would rather lead a quiet life away from the limelight. Despite being the long-standing companion of an international superstar, he has kept a humble lifestyle, concentrating on ordinary activities, and he rarely goes with Dolly to big events. Dolly frequently mentions that the key to their long-lasting marriage is maintaining their autonomy and allowing each other personal space. "We always spend time apart, and I think that's one of the reasons our marriage has lasted," Dolly said. Carl has remained a steadfast companion, always supporting Dolly's dreams and passions. An interesting aspect of their relationship is their decision not to have children. Dolly has mentioned that she and Carl thought long and hard about parenthood and even picked out names for the children they imagined. However, their busy lives and Dolly's thriving career led them to choose a different path. At first, Dolly experienced some regret about not having children, but she later realized that it allowed her to dedicate all her time and energy to her music and charitable endeavors, particularly the Imagination Library project. Through this initiative, she has played the role of a mother to millions of children worldwide, sending them books and spreading the joy of reading. Dolly often says that even though she doesn't have biological children, she feels like a mother to many through the books she provides, which brings her immense joy and fulfillment. Dolly Parton is not just a country music icon, a talented actress, or a savvy businesswoman. She is also a symbol of resilience, kindness, and unconditional love. Despite facing losses and challenges in life, Dolly continues to shine, bringing happiness and inspiration to millions of fans around the world. Tragedies and dark times. Beneath the dazzling glow of a career spanning over 6 decades, Dolly Parton has endured tragedies and dark periods that few could ever imagine. Behind her radiant smile and ever-energetic demeanor were years of pain, depression, and personal battles she had to fight relentlessly. During her early years in Nashville, Dolly struggled under the immense pressure of the harsh music industry, where dreams could be crushed in an instant. At the time, Dolly was young and vulnerable, but she was determined not to let failure defeat her. Still, the fear of not being enough and the overwhelming loneliness often pulled her into the depths of despair. The darkest period of Dolly's life came in the early 1980s when she experienced a severe mental health crisis. Although her career was at its peak, the relentless work demands, compounded by loneliness and complicated relationships, drove her into a deep depression. She described this time as my darkest days, when she faced not only emotional, but also physical pain. An emotional affair, which she referred to as a soulmate relationship, left her feeling guilty and led to intense self-recrimination, plunging her further into darkness. The anguish from this relationship caused emotional distress and led to severe health issues. Dolly began eating uncontrollably, resulting in weight gain and other health complications. Each day was filled with exhaustion and disappointment, and she battled sleepless nights, negative thoughts, and a fear of being consumed by a world she no longer recognized. At one point, she even contemplated ending her life. Dark thoughts overwhelmed her, and she felt as if she were drowning in an ocean of suffering with no escape. But in her moment of greatest despair, Dolly experienced a miraculous intervention. One afternoon, as she sat beside a gun she had considered using to end her pain, her small dog, Popeye, suddenly ran to her side. Popeye jumped onto her lap, startling her and snapping her back to reality. Dolly took this as a sign from God, a reminder that her life still held beauty and purpose, and that she had a mission to continue spreading joy and love. She spent the following days in deep prayer, seeking inner peace and gradually overcoming her crisis. During this turbulent time, Dolly also faced threats from extremist groups, including the Ku Klux Klan, due to her public support of the LGBTQ+ community and her hosting of Gay Pride Day at Dollywood. Despite the danger, Dolly refused to back down or be intimidated. She stood firm in her beliefs and continued to champion the values she held dear. The threats made her fear for her safety and that of her loved ones. But she remained resolute, determined never to let any force extinguish her kindness or her fight for justice. Dolly also endured other personal tragedies, such as the death of her longtime manager and dear friend, Don Warden, in 2017. Warden, who had been by her side since the early days of her career, was a pillar of support, and his passing was a devastating blow. Just months later, she received the heartbreaking news of her niece, Teva Parton, who died of a drug overdose. Dolly had done everything she could to help Teva break free from addiction, even paying for her rehabilitation, but the tragedy still occurred. The succession of losses weighed heavily on Dolly's heart, but she always found a way to transform her pain into motivation to live better and spread kindness. Reflecting on those dark times, Dolly Parton stands as a testament not only to her immense talent, but also to her extraordinary inner strength. She has often said that all of these challenges made her stronger and more empathetic to the pain of others. It is those moments of fierce struggle that shaped Dolly into the remarkable woman the world admires, someone who never lets adversity define her, but instead transforms suffering into strength, continuing to shine her light, love, and laughter far and wide. Philanthropy and community contributions. Dolly Parton is renowned not only for her music and acting, but also for her generous heart and unwavering dedication to her community. One of her most significant charitable achievements is the founding of the Imagination Library in 1995, aimed at providing free books to children from birth until they start kindergarten. Dolly initiated this project to honor her father, Robert Lee Parton, who never learned to read or write. Dolly proudly shares how deeply moved and proud her father was when people called her the Book Lady, a symbol of kindness and a love for learning. The Imagination Library quickly expanded from Dolly's hometown in Sevier County to reach across the United States and beyond, including Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and the Republic of Ireland. To date, the program has gifted over 100 million books to children worldwide, fostering a love for reading and sparking a thirst for knowledge in generations of young minds. This initiative is not only a meaningful gift to children, but also a testament to Dolly's dedication to using her fame for good, solidifying her as a true symbol of compassion. Dolly's philanthropy doesn't stop at the Imagination Library. She has actively supported numerous other charitable endeavors. Over the years, she has donated millions of dollars to humanitarian causes, from aiding disaster victims in Tennessee to funding medical research. When the COVID-19 pandemic struck, Dolly donated $1 million to Vanderbilt University Medical Center, supporting the research that led to the development of the Moderna vaccine, an act that earned her worldwide admiration. She remains humble and sincere in all her charitable efforts, never seeking recognition, but simply wishing to share her blessings with others. Public image and unexpected intelligence. Despite her glamorous exterior with wigs, heavy makeup, and glittering outfits, Dolly Parton has never let anyone underestimate her. On the contrary, she has cleverly used this image to build an unmistakable brand while proving herself to be a shrewd and powerful businesswoman. She once shared that her appearance is part of a strategy. "I may look fake, but I'm completely real." The contrast between her outward appearance and her sharp intellect continues to surprise and impress many. Dolly has repeatedly amazed the public with her quick wit and humor. One of the most famous moments occurred during a 1977 interview with Barbara Walters, where Walters seemingly mocked Dolly's appearance and even asked if she felt like a joke. Dolly, with her characteristic poise, responded that she was entirely comfortable and secure in herself, and if she wanted to play around with makeup and clothes, that was her choice. Responses like this have solidified Dolly's confidence and intelligence without needing to defend herself too seriously. Dolly's success is rooted not only in her musical talent, but also in her ability to build a formidable entertainment empire. With over 3,000 copyrighted songs and a string of successful albums, she has created an enormous revenue stream. In addition, her business ventures, such as Dollywood Theme Park and other investments, have contributed to an estimated net worth of $500 million. She has proven that a woman from humble beginnings can build a solid financial empire through talent, intelligence, and exceptional management skills. Dolly Parton is more than just an artist. She is a symbol of resilience and wisdom, turning stereotypes into the motivation to conquer the world. With her humor, immense generosity, and a successful career spanning multiple fields, she has created a lasting legacy, inspiring generations and earning the admiration of the world. Current life and legacy. At 78 years old, Dolly Parton continues to lead a vibrant and creative life. In 2024, she is still expanding her music career and personal projects. She collaborated with her sister, Rachel Parton George, to publish the cookbook Good Lookin' Cookin' on September 17th, featuring over 80 traditional family recipes. Additionally, Dolly has announced a new music project titled Threads, My Songs and Symphony, a multimedia storytelling experience in collaboration with a symphony orchestra. The program is set to debut on March 20th, 2025 in Nashville, with additional performances to be announced later. On a personal note, she and her husband, Carl Dean, continue to enjoy a strong marriage that has lasted over 57 years. Dolly has shared that spending time apart has helped them appreciate each other more and keep their relationship fresh. Dolly Parton also continues to receive recognition for her contributions. In October 2024, she was honored with the Peace Through Music Award by the U.S. Department of State and the Recording Academy, acknowledging her role in promoting peace and cultural understanding through music. Dolly Parton has become an irreplaceable cultural icon. Her music career has not only inspired generations of musicians, but also broken barriers between genres, bringing country music to a wider audience. Songs like Jolene, Coat of Many Colors, and I Will Always Love You have become timeless classics, cherished not only for their captivating melodies, but also for the moving stories behind them. With over 50 years in the entertainment industry, Dolly has redefined its landscape, creating a style that is unmistakably her own. She has overcome the highs and lows of life to become a monumental figure. Her legacy is not just built on awards or album sales, but on the values she has instilled in millions of hearts. From music and film to philanthropy, Dolly Parton is a living testament to how one can transform challenges into motivation to make a difference in the world. She has touched countless lives, and her legacy will live on, inspiring future generations. Dolly Parton is more than just an artist. She is a symbol of strength, compassion, and an indomitable spirit. Anyone who has ever heard her story can feel her extraordinary resilience and rare kindness. The world is truly fortunate to have someone like Dolly Parton, a star who will never fade in the hearts of her fans. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more exciting content. Leave a comment and share your thoughts. See you in the next video. Goodbye.